So I'm here kind of doing the initial consult with Bones and Elsa, and we're in the living room. Now, the Guardian probably isn't going to like this, she's the one that's filming it, but I'm going to ask her to shoot this part of the floor right here, and then to shoot your fireplace. So this isn't all distressed because the Guardians are not paying attention to their house, it's because of the dogs. So this is a big antler. And I just asked, because I noticed that Bones was chewing on it, and I asked how many of them there are. And the Guardian says she has 2 of these. For big, hardy dogs like this, we need a lot of appropriate chew toys. Either you can decide what your dog chews, or your dog can decide, and your dog has much more expensive taste: carpet, wood frame, furniture, beds, and so on and so forth. Antlers are great. This looks probably like an elk antler. Antlers are expensive. Now, for these guys, these are big dogs, so I'm going to suggest some other things. But normally, when I get an antler, I suggest get a one not quite this thick, because these guys are such big dogs. This is an appropriate size for them. But if you have a smaller dog, get like the tip of the antler, which is going to be a lot narrow, a lot thinner. These are based on the mass, and so the thickness, if you have a little dog, is going to kind of go to waste. So I would get several of these. I would not let them bring them outside. So if anyone in the house sees the dog is trying to carry one outside, we don't let the dog go outside with the antler. So make that a rule, because these are expensive and they'll bury them or just leave them in the snow, and then we kind of miss out and we have to buy some more. What are some other great things that we can have? Nylabones are good for a lot of dogs. I don't know if it will work for these dogs because they're such hardy chewers. They go through Kongs. Now, a nylabone should be rigid. There should be no flexibility to it whatsoever. Now, a lot of people get the ones that look like a cartoon bone. It looks like the bow tie at the end. There's no actual bones that look like that. But they have them, I get them on Amazon. I have one that's like the shape of a donut. It's about this big, and it's got a bunch of little nubs on it. Sometimes they're flavored chicken and different things along those lines. So some really rigidly hard, big nylabones, as long as they're not being able to pull pieces off of it, and they should not if it's the appropriate material, they'll gnaw on it, it'll wear down. Now, it will get rough, and that's designed to actually flake the tartar off of their teeth and stimulate their gums, so don't throw it away when it starts getting rough. Other things you can get, now some of these do not smell all that great. So like, for example, a goat's horn. Very tough, very durable. That would be an outdoor only toy. So because I like having stuff in and out, I would have some that are outside. The horn is gonna smell pretty nasty when they get it all wet, and you're not gonna wanna smell it in the house, at least I don't. But it's if they like having toys outside, it's great to have an indoor toy and outdoor toys. Another thing you can get is a water buffalo tusk. It's the tusk that goes like this on a water buffalo. It's brown. You can get them at usually Petco, PetSmart, as well as on Amazon. Now, when you get one, I would prefer to get it in person, because sometimes this will be hollow. And if it's hollow, especially hardy chewers like this, they're just gonna splinter them, and pieces of them are gonna fall off. That's all right.
You're fine.
And then, so if you get one that's solid all the way through, I have a client who has an Irish Wolfhound. It's the biggest breed of dog that there is. I got it like 5 years ago, and it was this big. Now it's about this big. And I have very hardy chewing dogs. Probably not quite as much as yours, but I've had it longer, so it'll last a long time. So getting things that are really hard and rigid for your dogs to chew on would be great, are gonna probably help with mitigate some of the destruction in the house. The other part of destruction in the house is gonna come from enforcing rules, boundaries, limits, which we already started talking about off camera. If they like balls, one other option you can get is a lacrosse ball. They're very hard and durable. Now make sure, because they are a little bit smaller than a tennis ball, we don't want them to get stuck in the dog's mouth, but if your dogs like balls, that would be a good option. I also like having a destructible, something that's appropriate to destroy. I use jolly balls. They're about the size of a volleyball. They have actually different sizes, but there's a little triangular shape ball that comes off. Come here, buddy. And that will allow the dog to kind of pick it up and carry it around the house. Of course, the first things my dogs do is tear off the triangle and then tear little pieces of it off. They don't eat it, so I allow them to do it. But having something that they can destroy helps. One last thing, outside, most of us have our yards so well maintained, there aren't any sticks. Sticks are the best natural thing for dogs to chew on, as long as they're not ingesting it. So next time you have a big branch, for these dogs, I would have a big one. I have a mixed breed dog, and I wish anything in my life maybe as happy as her. She have a 6 foot long branch in her mouth, and she bounds around the yard like a deer. So it's about that, you know, one of them is about that round. I mean, it's probably a couple inches around. These are big, heavy dogs. So when you're out walking on the trail and you see a big stick that's fallen, pick it up. And bring it home, leave it in the backyard. Just make sure that some of them there have been eaten up by termites, and you'll feel it's very light. Sometimes if you bring that into your yard, you might bring termites into your yard. So make sure it's a good stick that's solid and intact. So these are some appropriate chew toys that'll help give the dog the ability to channel their chewing needs into appropriate ways as opposed to destroying our home.